Ava was assigned to watch the human engineer on the station as part of a routine observation task. It was not meant to be difficult or dangerous. Humans were still new to the station, and the council wanted detailed records of their behavior, habits, and biology. Ava had done many observation duties before, but this one felt different from the start. The station itself was large and old, built in layers that wrapped around a slow-turning core. The lower maintenance ring was one of the quietest areas. Few beings liked working there. The lights were dimmer, the air smelled of metal and oil, and the sounds of the station echoed through long metal corridors. Machines hummed behind walls, and thick cables ran along the ceilings like frozen vines. That was where the human worked. His name was Ethan. Ava stood behind a clear safety barrier, her data pad held close to her chest. She watched him from a short distance, careful not to interrupt his work. Ethan wore a simple work suit, dark and practical, marked with small signs of use. He moved with calm focus, his attention always on the task in front of him. He did not seem to notice her. Ethan was repairing a power relay panel that had failed during the last station cycle. The panel was large and heavy, designed to be moved by lifting machines or by species with strong frames. Ava had wondered why a human had been sent alone. Now she was seeing why. Ethan crouched down, placed his hands under the edge of the panel, and began to lift. Ava expected him to struggle or call for help. Instead, his body shifted slightly. His back straightened. His arms tightened. That was when she noticed it. The muscles in his arms became firm and raised, pressing clearly against his skin. Dark lines appeared along his forearms and hands, standing out sharply. They looked almost like marks beneath the surface, as if something inside him was changing shape. Ava's breath caught. She zoomed in with her data pad, her eyes fixed on the strange pattern. To her people, such signs were never natural. When muscles changed shape like that, it usually meant a defense response. When lines appeared beneath the skin, it meant stored energy or a built-in weapon system was activating. Her heart beat faster. Ethan lifted the panel fully and leaned it against the wall with careful control. He did not rush. He did not shake. He simply set it down and wiped his forehead with the back of his hand. The dark lines slowly faded. Ava stared. She checked her records quickly. Human skin. Human muscles. Human blood flow. The files showed nothing about visible activation lines. Nothing about sudden changes like this. She watched as Ethan reached for a tool and continued working, his movements smooth and practiced. He hummed softly to himself, unaware that he was being studied with growing concern. Ava took a slow breath and began recording. The human engineer displays unusual physical changes during exertion, she said quietly. Muscle expansion is visible. Dark markings appear beneath the skin. Possible internal mechanism unknown. She paused, watching closely as Ethan tightened a bolt. His arm flexed again. The lines returned, darker this time, then faded once more when he relaxed. Her people evolved to avoid physical strain. Their bodies were efficient but delicate. Any sign of sudden strength usually meant danger. Weapons were often hidden within the body, activated only when needed. Was that what humans had? Ava felt a small chill run through her. She adjusted her position and moved closer, staying behind another barrier. From here, she could hear the sound of Ethan's breathing. It was steady, controlled. There was no aggression in his posture. No sign of threat. That only made her more uneasy. She watched him work for a long time. Every time he lifted, pulled, or pushed something heavy, the same thing happened. His muscles tightened. The dark lines appeared. His focus sharpened. Then, when the task was done, his body returned to normal. To Ava, it looked like a weapon being turned on and off at will. She reviewed the human cultural files again. Humans came from a planet with high gravity, unstable land, and many dangers. They survived through tools, teamwork, and learning. Still, nothing in the data explained what she was seeing. After a while, Ethan noticed her. He straightened and looked toward the barrier, his expression calm and friendly. He lifted one hand in a small wave. "Hey," he said. "You need something?" Ava stiffened. She was not prepared to speak yet. Her species preferred observation before contact. "I am assigned to observe," she replied carefully. "Oh," Ethan said, nodding. "Cool. Just let me know if I'm in the way." He turned back to his work without another word. That response confused her even more. If he truly carried a weapon within his body, why act so relaxed? Why show no concern at being watched? Most beings with dangerous abilities hid them carefully. Ethan did not hide anything. Ava continued observing, her thoughts racing. She noted how often he took breaks, how he stretched his arms and shoulders, how he drank water and checked his tools. His behavior was calm, organized, and patient. There was no sign of violence. Still, the image of those dark lines stayed in her mind. She sent a quiet message to her supervisor, asking for clarification on human biology. The response came back slow and uncertain. Human records were incomplete. Much was still being learned. That did not help. Later, Ethan finished his task and secured the panel back into place. He stepped back and examined his work, nodding to himself. The muscles in his arms relaxed fully now. His skin looked normal again. Ava let out a breath she did not realize she was holding. Ethan gathered his tools and turned toward the exit corridor. As he passed by her position, he paused. "You've been watching pretty closely," he said, not unkindly. "Everything okay?" Ava hesitated. "Your body changes when you work." He blinked, then smiled slightly. "Yeah, that happens." "It is normal?" she asked. "Sure," he said. "Just muscles doing their job." She stared at him. "They look like weapons." Ethan laughed softly, clearly thinking she was joking. "Trust me, if I had weapons built into me, maintenance wouldn't be my job." He waved again and walked away. Ava remained where she was long after he left. Her data pad felt heavy in her hands. Muscles doing their job. That simple explanation did not fit with what she knew. Yet Ethan had spoken with ease, without fear or secrecy. To him, those changes meant nothing special. To her, they meant everything. She looked down at her notes and added one final line. "Human biological response appears misunderstood. Further observation required." As the lights in the maintenance ring dimmed for cycle change, Ava realized something important. If this small detail was already so alarming, then there was much about humans the galaxy did not yet understand. And she had only just begun to watch. Ava continued her observation over the next several station cycles, and with each passing day her unease grew. At first, she told herself she was simply being careful. Humans were new. New species always required close study. That was normal. But the feeling did not fade. It deepened. She followed Ethan's work schedule closely now. He moved through the station like a quiet current, always where something was broken, always where help was needed. Power conduits, cooling systems, pressure doors, air filters, Ethan worked on all of them. He never complained. He never rushed. He never asked for praise. And every time the work became difficult, his body changed. Ava watched from different locations, behind glass walls, from raised walkways, through security feeds. The result was always the same. When Ethan lifted heavy objects, forced jammed parts into place, or worked under time pressure, the muscles in his arms and shoulders tightened. The dark lines appeared beneath his skin, clear and sharp, like something waking up. To Ava, it was impossible to ignore. She compared recordings frame by frame. She slowed them down. She enhanced contrast. The lines were not marks on the suit. They were not shadows. They were part of him. Her people did not have such responses. When their bodies reached strain, they weakened. They slowed. They shut down to avoid damage. Pain was a signal to stop. Ethan's pain seemed to be a signal to continue. That thought made Ava's chest tighten. One cycle, she observed Ethan during an emergency repair. A coolant valve had failed, and the temperature in a nearby section was rising fast. Alarms echoed through the corridor. Other workers hesitated, waiting for cooling drones. Ethan did not wait. He moved straight to the valve, gripping it with both hands. Ava watched as his arms tensed, muscles rising, dark lines spreading along his skin like branches. His jaw tightened. His breathing deepened. Then he turned the valve. The metal screamed in protest before giving way. The temperature dropped. The alarm stopped. Ethan leaned back against the wall for a moment, eyes closed, breathing slowly. Then his body relaxed. The lines faded. He straightened and walked away as if nothing unusual had happened. Ava stood frozen, her data pad shaking slightly in her grip. To her people, that level of strain would have caused injury or collapse. Yet Ethan showed no lasting damage. Only effort. Only focus. She returned to her quarters and reviewed her notes late into the cycle. The evidence was clear. Whatever this was, it activated under stress. It increased physical output. It shut off when no longer needed. That matched every definition of a biological weapon system she knew. Reluctantly, Ava filed a preliminary report. Observation suggests human subject may possess internal biological mechanisms capable of enhanced strength under pressure, she recorded. Visual indicators include muscle expansion and subdermal pattern changes. Purpose unclear. Potential risk assessment required. She did not want to send it, but protocol demanded it. The response came faster than she expected. Security requested further detail. Medical teams asked for footage. Risk analysts flagged the report for review. Ava felt a knot form in her chest. She began to worry about Ethan. Not because she feared him, but because she feared what others might decide. Meanwhile, Ethan continued his work completely unaware. Ava saw him help a cargo handler lift a fallen crate. She saw him hold a door open while others escaped a pressure fluctuation. She saw him stay late to repair a failing water system in the habitat ring. Each time the same thing happened. Effort, change, control. Never aggression. Never threat. One cycle, Ava found herself standing closer than usual as Ethan worked on a damaged lift platform. Sparks flickered as he removed a panel. The platform shuddered, threatening to drop. Careful, Ava said without thinking. Ethan glanced at her and smiled. Always. He braced himself and pulled the panel free. The dark lines appeared again, clear even at this distance. Ava's breath caught. She watched his hands, half expecting them to transform further, to reveal something more. Nothing happened. The platform stabilized. Ethan secured it and stepped back. All good, he said. Ava realized she had been holding her breath. You are often assigned difficult tasks, she said carefully. Someone's gotta do them, Ethan replied. Does it not trouble you? She asked. The strain on your body? He shrugged. It's part of the job. That answer disturbed her more than anything else. To Ethan, strain was normal. Effort was expected. Pain, when it came, was something to work around. Ava returned to her observation posts with growing conflict inside her. Her reports painted a picture of potential danger. Her direct experiences painted a picture of quiet reliability. Both were true. Security teams began to increase their monitoring of human workers. Ava noticed additional cameras placed near maintenance zones. She noticed guards watching Ethan more closely. He noticed none of it. Or if he did not comment. One evening, Ava observed him in the common area, laughing softly with two other workers as they shared food. His body was relaxed. There were no dark lines. No tension. Just a tired engineer enjoying a brief rest. This is the same being, Ava thought. The same body. How could something so calm hold something so frightening? She received another message from her supervisor requesting clarification. Do you believe the human is aware of these biological mechanisms? The message asked. Ava hesitated before replying. No, she typed. Subject appears unaware. Behavior suggests response is instinctive, not deliberate. That was true. Ethan did not activate anything. His body simply responded when needed. That realization sent a chill through Ava. Weapons were usually controlled, chosen, directed. This was different. This was survival built into flesh. As days passed, Ava's reports continued, careful and precise. She emphasized uncertainty. She noted the absence of hostility. She highlighted Ethan's repeated assistance to others. Still, the phrase, potential biological weapon, remained in the files. Ava began to feel responsible for what might come next. One cycle, she followed Ethan into a damaged sector where the lights flickered and the air hummed unevenly. A group of workers stood nearby, unsure how to proceed. I can fix it, Ethan said simply. Ava watched as he entered the tight space, forcing open a bent panel with sheer effort. The dark lines appeared again, more pronounced than before. His body trembled slightly under the strain. But he did not stop. When the system stabilized, the workers thanked him. Ethan waved it off and moved on to the next task. Ava stood alone in the corridor afterward, her thoughts heavy. She had reported him as a risk. Yet all she had seen was help. She looked down at her data pad at the words she had written. Hidden biological weapons. The phrase felt wrong. But she did not yet have the knowledge to replace it with something better. As the station lights dimmed for rest cycle, Ava realized she was standing at the edge of a truth the galaxy was not ready for. Humans did not change because they wanted to fight. They changed because they refused to stop. And that, Ava feared, was far more powerful than any weapon. The power failed without warning. One moment, the station moved in its usual quiet rhythm, lights steady, systems humming softly. The next, everything went dark. The low hum died. The air shifted. Emergency lights snapped on in sharp red lines, and alarms began to echo through every corridor. Ava was in the observation hall when it happened. The floor vibrated under her feet, just slightly but enough to make her heart jump. The alarms were loud and urgent, layered over each other in different tones. They meant many things at once. Power loss, system failure, possible danger to life. She froze for half a second. Then training took over. She activated her data pad and pulled up the station map. Entire sections were dark. The lower maintenance ring was flashing warning signs. Doors had sealed automatically to contain possible damage. Her breath caught. Ethan was down there. She turned and ran. The corridors were crowded now, filled with confused crew members from many species. Some moved quickly, others hesitated, their fear slowing them. Ava pushed through, her mind focused on one thing. She did not know why she felt such urgency, only that she did. The lower maintenance ring was chaos. Emergency lights cast harsh shadows across the metal walls. Steam hissed from broken pipes. The air felt heavy and warm. Somewhere deeper inside, she heard voices shouting for help. Ava stopped at the edge of a wide corridor and looked down. A large pressure door had slammed shut during the power failure. It was designed to seal off damaged sections, thick and reinforced. Normally, it could only be opened by machines or by restoring power. Behind the door, several crew members were trapped. Ava could hear them now. Panicked voices. Loud knocking. She moved closer, scanning the door. The controls were dead. No power. No response. "This section is sealed," a security officer said nearby. "We need to reroute power." "How long?" someone asked. "Too long," another voice answered. "Air levels are dropping inside." Ava felt fear tighten in her chest. Then she saw Ethan. He came running down the corridor, his steps fast and sure despite the flashing lights and smoke. His face was set, focused. He took in the scene in a single glance. The sealed door, the trapped crew, the failing systems. He did not hesitate. "Move back," he said. The others looked at him in confusion. "The door's locked," someone said. "We can't open it without power." Ethan stepped closer to the door, placing his hands against the metal surface. "Then we don't wait for power." Ava's heart began to race. She had seen this before. The way his body prepared. The way effort called something out of him. His arms tensed. His shoulders tightened. The dark lines appeared beneath his skin, spreading along his forearms and up toward his neck. His jaw clenched. His breathing slowed, deep and controlled. To Ava, it looked exactly like a weapon activating. "Ethan, stop," someone shouted. "You'll hurt yourself." He did not answer. He leaned into the door, pressing his full weight against it. The metal groaned softly but did not move. Ethan adjusted his stance, feet planted wide, back straight. His muscles stood out clearly now, hard and defined. Ava watched in frozen shock. This was it, she thought. This was proof. This was what she had warned about. But Ethan did not strike the door. He did not attack it with anger or force alone. He pulled, testing the edges, feeling for weakness. He grunted softly, not in rage but in effort. The dark lines deepened. His hands slipped slightly on the smooth surface. He stopped, took a breath, wiped his palms on his suit and tried again. The door creaked. Just a little. Behind it, the trapped crew shouted louder now, hope rising in their voices. "Hold on." Ethan called back. "I've got you." Ava's hands shook as she recorded everything. Her mind struggled to keep up. This was not aggression. This was rescue. Ethan strained again, every muscle in his body tight and shaking. The lines beneath his skin looked almost alive, standing out sharply. Sweat ran down his face but his eyes stayed clear. The door shifted another inch. Alarms blared louder as the station detected the forced movement. Warning lights flashed around the frame. "Structural stress," a system voice announced. Ethan ignored it. With a final push, he forced the door open just wide enough to create a gap. Air rushed through, equalizing pressure. The trapped crew scrambled forward, one by one, coughing but alive. Ethan held the door the entire time. Ava saw his arms tremble under the strain. She saw the effort etched into his face. But he did not let go. Not until the last person was clear. Only then did he step back. The door slammed shut behind him, sealing again. Ethan staggered slightly, catching himself against the wall. For a moment Ava thought he might fall. He did not. He leaned there, breathing hard, the dark lines slowly fading as his body relaxed. His shoulders dropped. His hands unclenched. The danger was over. Silence spread through the corridor, broken only by the soft hiss of cooling metal and the distant echo of alarms fading as systems began to recover. Ava realized she was staring. Everyone was. The crew Ethan had saved gathered nearby, their fear turning into relief and disbelief. "You saved us," one of them said. Ethan nodded, still catching his breath. "You okay?" They nodded back, some laughing shakily, some close to tears. Ava stepped forward slowly. Her mind was racing. Everything she believed was breaking apart. She had seen the weapon activate again, stronger than ever, clearer than before. But it had not been used to harm. It had been used to hold a door, to protect, to save. She looked at Ethan's hands. They were shaking now slightly as the effort left him. He flexed his fingers slowly, wincing just a bit. "You should go to medical," someone said. "Yeah," Ethan replied. "In a minute." Ava could not stop herself. "Why did you do that?" she asked. He looked at her, surprised. "Because they were stuck. That door could have injured you," she said. "It was not designed for that." He shrugged, careful and tired. "It needed to open." That answer stunned her. To Ava the risk had been extreme. To Ethan it had simply been necessary. Security arrived then, checking the area, restoring systems. Medics moved through the crowd, examining the rescued crew. No one was seriously hurt. Ethan was finally guided toward the medical bay, protesting weakly that he was fine. As he passed Ava he paused. "You okay?" he asked her. She nodded slowly, unable to find words. He smiled faintly and kept walking. Ava stood there long after he was gone. The corridor looked the same as before, metal walls, flashing lights, scattered tools. But to her, everything felt different. She replayed the moment in her mind again and again. The dark lines. The strength. The choice. Weapons were meant to destroy. What she had seen was endurance turned outward, used for others. Her report from earlier cycles echoed in her thoughts. Hidden biological weapons. She closed her eyes. No, that was wrong. This was not a weapon. This was a body pushed beyond comfort, driven by a mind that refused to accept loss. As power slowly returned to the station and the alarms fell silent, Ava understood something important. Humans did not become dangerous when they were under pressure. They became reliable. And that truth frightened her far more than any weapon ever could. The medical bay was quiet again. Soft lights glowed along the walls, and machines hummed in low, steady tones. The chaos of the power failure felt far away now, like a bad memory fading at the edges. Crew members rested in nearby rooms, monitored but safe. The station had stabilized. Ava stood near the center of the bay, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. Her eyes moved from screen to screen as medical data scrolled past. Images, charts, numbers and colored lines filled the air displays. All of it focused on one subject. Ethan. He sat on a medical bed a short distance away, his legs hanging off the side. A scanner arm moved slowly around him, sending quiet pulses of light across his body. He looked tired but calm, as if this was nothing more than an inconvenience. Ava felt her chest tighten again. She had seen weapons before. True weapons. Biological systems built to cut, burn, or destroy. What she had seen during the emergency looked just as powerful. But the medical data did not match her fear. Not at all. A doctor stood beside one of the displays, reading through the results. His voice was steady and neutral. "Muscle fibers show temporary contraction under stress," he said. "Blood flow increases. Pain signals are reduced but not removed. Strength output rises for a short time." Ava listened closely. "Is it artificial?" she asked. "Engineered?" The doctor shook his head. "No. This is natural human biology." She stared at him. "Natural?" "Yes," he replied. "A stress response." Her mind struggled with the words. Stress response. The doctor continued, unaware of the storm inside her thoughts. When humans face danger or extreme effort, their bodies release chemicals. These chemicals prepare the body to act. Muscles tighten. Focus increases. Pain becomes easier to ignore. Ava glanced at Ethan. "So the dark lines?" she asked. "Blood vessels near the surface," the doctor explained. "More blood moves to the muscles. It makes them visible." Ava's fingers curled slightly. Visible blood flow. That was it. No hidden blades. No energy weapons. No unknown organs. Just blood. Muscle. Bone. Ethan shifted on the bed and gave a small shrug. "Told you it was normal?" Ava turned to him slowly. "Normal?" she repeated. "For us," he said. "Yeah." She walked closer, her steps measured. The scanner moved aside, its task complete. Ethan rolled his shoulders slightly, testing them. "Does it hurt?" Ava asked. He thought for a moment. "A little." "You forced open a pressure door," she said. "That should have caused serious injury." He nodded. "Could have. Still might be sore tomorrow." "That is not concern to you?" "It is," Ethan replied. "But worrying wouldn't help." That answer made no sense to her. The doctor finished recording the data and stepped away, leaving them alone. The medical bay felt larger without him, quieter. Ava sat down slowly in a chair across from Ethan. She studied him carefully, seeing him now with new eyes. He looked ordinary, tired, human. Yet what she had seen him do replayed again and again in her mind. "I believed you had a weapon inside your body," she said quietly. Ethan blinked, surprised. "A weapon?" "Yes," she said. "Your physical changes matched known activation patterns." He let out a soft breath, half a laugh. "Guess that's one way to see it." "That does not alarm you?" Ava asked. He shook his head. "Not really." "How can that be?" she asked. "Your body alters itself under stress. It increases strength and hides pain. That is dangerous." He leaned back slightly, resting his hands on the bed. "It can be. Yet you accept it." "Because it helps," he said simply. Ava felt frustration rise inside her. "You speak as if pain is unimportant." Ethan looked at her carefully. "Pain is important," he said. "It tells you when something's wrong." "Then why ignore it?" "We don't ignore it forever," he replied. "We just set it aside when we need to." Her hands tightened in her lap. "My people cannot do that." "I know," he said softly. That simple acknowledgement caught her off guard. "You know?" she asked. "Yeah," Ethan said. "Different species. Different limits." Ava stood and began to pace slowly. The smooth floor reflected the soft lights above. "For us, pain means stop. It means danger has already gone too far." "For us," Ethan said, "it usually means danger's already here." She stopped walking. That sentence stayed with her. "You felt pain when you opened the door," she said. "Yeah," he admitted. "Extreme pain." "Yeah." "And you continued." He nodded. "Why?" Ethan looked down at his hands. His fingers still bore faint marks from the strain. "Because people were stuck." "That is not an explanation," Ava said. He looked back up at her. "It is to me." She stared at him, searching his face for something she could understand. Fear, pride, aggression. She found none of those. Only certainty. "Your body helps you," she said slowly. "Without your command." Ethan shrugged. "It's not really without my command. It's just automatic." "That is worse," Ava said quietly. He raised an eyebrow. "Worse?" "Yes," she said. "Weapons are controlled, chosen. What you have responds on its own." He considered that. "I guess. You could become dangerous without intending to." He shook his head. "Not like that." "How do you know?" "Because it doesn't choose targets," he said. "I do." Ava's breath caught slightly. That was it. The response did not decide what to do. The human did. She sat back down, slower this time. "Then what happens if you choose to stop?" she asked. Ethan smiled faintly. "Then it stops helping." She watched him carefully. "So when you said your body just helps when it has to?" "That's what I meant," he said. "It steps up when I ask it to. Even if it hurts you." "Yeah." Her voice dropped. "That is not weakness." He looked surprised. "I never said it was." Ava felt something heavy settle in her chest. All her reports. All her fear. All her careful warnings. They had been based on a misunderstanding. Human biology did not create weapons. It created options. Options to act when others could not. Options to endure when stopping meant loss. She thought of the trapped crew. The sealed door. The pressure alarms. If Ethan had been like her people, he would have waited. And people would have died. She looked at him again, truly looking now. "You live on a dangerous world," she said. "Yeah," he replied. "Still do." "And this response developed because of that." He nodded. "Earth doesn't care if you're comfortable." Ava let out a slow breath. Her fear had not been foolish. It had been logical. But it had been incomplete. She stood and bowed her head slightly, a sign of respect among her people. "I was wrong," she said. Ethan shifted awkwardly. "About what?" "About you," she replied. "About humans." He scratched the back of his neck. "Happens a lot." She looked at him with new understanding. "Your strength is not in your muscles." He smiled gently. "Never thought it was." "It is in your choice to act despite pain," she said. "Despite risk." He nodded. "Sometimes you just do what needs doing." Ava turned toward the medical bay doors, her mind already working. Reports would need correction. Warnings would need explanation. The galaxy would need to understand. As she reached the exit, she paused and looked back. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" Ethan asked. "For showing me the truth." He smiled again, tired but kind. "Anytime." As the doors slid shut behind her, Ava felt something she had not expected. Not fear. Not relief. Respect. The council chamber was silent. Soft light filled the wide room, reflecting off smooth walls and long curved tables. Symbols of many worlds hovered in the air, each one representing a species that shared the station and the wider galaxy. Ava stood alone at the center platform, her data pad resting in her hands. She had rewritten the report 3 times. Each time she removed more fear. Each time she replaced it with truth. She took a slow breath and began. Her voice carried clearly through the chamber. Calm, steady, honest. My previous assessment of human biology was incomplete, Ava said. I believed certain physical changes were signs of hidden weapons. That belief was incorrect. Several council members shifted. Some leaned forward. Others watched without expression. Ava continued. Humans do not possess biological weapons within their bodies. What I observed was a natural stress response. It is a system that allows their bodies to adapt quickly under danger. Images appeared in the air. Medical scans, simple diagrams, clear and clean. Muscle fibers tightening. Blood flow increasing. Pain signals lowering but not disappearing. This response does not act on its own, Ava said. It does not choose targets. It does not seek harm. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. It responds to human intent. Murmurs spread softly across the chamber. Ava remembered the moment clearly. The sealed door. The trap crew. Ethan's hands braced against cold metal. His body shaking not with rage but with effort. During a station emergency, she said, a human engineer used this response to save others. He did not attack. He did not threaten. He endured pain to prevent loss of life. She looked up at the council members. Humans are not dangerous by nature, Ava said. But they adapt when needed. A long silence followed. One council member finally spoke. You are saying they grow stronger under stress? Yes, Ava replied. But not without cost. Their bodies suffer afterward. Injury is common. Recovery takes time. Yet they still do it, another member said. Yes, Ava said again. The questions continued. Is this response always active? No. Can it be controlled? Yes. By the human. What happens if they choose not to act? Then the response fades. The council listened. Truly listened. Ava felt the weight of her mistake pressing against her chest, but also the relief of setting it right. Fear had shaped her first report. Fear and unfamiliarity. Now understanding replaced it. When the council finally dismissed her, Ava bowed and left the chamber. The walk back through the station felt different. The halls were busy again, filled with normal sounds. Voices. Footsteps. Soft machine noise. Life moving forward. She passed the maintenance ring and slowed. Ethan was there working as usual. He stood on a platform tightening bolts on a wall panel. His movements were steady, careful. No dark lines. No visible strain. Just a human doing his job. Ava stopped at a distance, watching quietly. Nothing about him looked dangerous. That thought made her pause. Dangerous had never been the right word. Humans did not threaten by existing. They threatened expectations. They broke assumptions about limits. Ethan noticed her and waved. Hey. She walked over. You're back to work already? Yeah, he said. Doc said I should take it easy. This is easy. She tilted her head. That definition may differ from others. He smiled. Probably. They stood in silence for a moment. I corrected the report, Ava said. He nodded. Figured you would. The council understands now, she said. They will not classify humans as biological threats. That's good, Ethan replied. Would have made things awkward. She allowed herself a small smile. I was wrong, Ava said. My fear came from ignorance. He wiped his hands on a cloth. Happens. You were never hiding a weapon, she said. No, he agreed. You were carrying responsibility. He looked at her, surprised. Is that how you see it? He asked. Yes, she said. Your body responds because you expect it to. Because you are willing to act. Ethan thought about that. Maybe. Ava watched him closely. Does it trouble you? What? That your body can push past pain. He shrugged. It's just how we are. That is what frightens others, Ava said honestly. Yeah, he replied. I know. But it should not, she added. Because you do not seek harm. Ethan met her gaze. Most of us don't. That answer stayed with her. Later, alone in her quarters, Ava reviewed the final version of her report one last time. It felt complete now. Balanced? True. She added one final note at the end. Not medical, not technical, personal. Humans do not carry weapons within their bodies. Their strength comes from choice. When others are in danger, they endure pain, fear, and damage to themselves to help. This trait should be approached with respect, not suspicion. She sent the report. As the data transmitted, Ava leaned back and closed her eyes. She saw the moment again. The door opening. The air rushing through. The sound of people breathing because someone refused to stop. She understood now why humans were so difficult to measure. They did not fit clean categories. They were not the strongest species. They were not the fastest. They were not the most durable. But when something needed to be done, they found a way. They adapted. They endured. They became stronger because someone else needed them to be. Ava opened her eyes. She would never forget how wrong she had been. And she would never make that mistake again. Humans were not walking weapons. They were something far more powerful. They were help that arrived even when it hurt. And the galaxy would be safer once it learned to understand that truth.